Remember that time that Kevin Durant's foot size cost the Brooklyn Nets an NBA championship? No? Well, let me explain. Welcome to That Time of Basketball. I am Sean Murphy, and today I'm going to tell you how Kevin Durant's shoe size cost the Brooklyn Nets an NBA championship. The season was the 2020-2021 NBA season, and the Brooklyn Nets put together what was considered to be the dynamic powerhouse of the NBA. You have James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant all on one squad, and they were looking to get a ring year one. And you know what? Honestly, I don't blame them. They were absolutely showing out. When this team was healthy and they had the opportunity to get on the court together, they were absolutely balling out against whoever they played. The dynamic offense of Kevin Durant, the flashy passes and plays of Kyrie Irving, the crossovers of James Harden, this team looked to be unstoppable in a way that we haven't seen in this league in a long time. In fact, one could argue we haven't seen this kind of dynamic big three since the Heatles that we had back in 2010. And with Kevin Durant coming off a dynasty with the Golden State Warriors, it looked like he was only going to have something even more dominant here in the city of Brooklyn. And quite frankly, I expected them to get the job done, and so did the rest of the NBA world. And the conversation wasn't as much who the Nets were going to face in the NBA Finals. The conversation was who are the Nets going to beat in the NBA Finals. They were that dominant. In fact, the only team that looked to be in their way in the Eastern Conference was potentially the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, Giannis Antetokounmpo had won 2 season MVPs, was looking absolutely dominant, and was playing with another All-Star in Chris Middleton. And the Milwaukee Bucks going at Drew Holiday this past offseason as well. So they were feeling really confident and felt like they were putting a team out there on the court that could potentially contend. The only people that didn't believe it was the people around the league, because they had a bum like Mike Budenholzer in the coaching seat, and they had another guy in that Eastern Conference named Kevin freaking Durant. And with how last season ended, Giannis was angry, and quite frankly, he was on a mission. This season, he was putting up numbers, putting his team on his back, but at the end of the day, as good as Giannis looked and as dominant as he is, it looked like there was going to be no stopping that team over in Brooklyn. So when those teams inevitably faced in the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, it was on. And Kevin Durant was putting out all the stops. The first 2 games of the series went to Brooklyn, and it looked like it wasn't even going to be close. Kyrie Irving was out there with Kevin Durant, and James Harden wasn't even playing because of an injury that he had. But for Brooklyn, it was absolutely no problem. The next 2 games, they go to Milwaukee, and Giannis, Chris Middleton, and the crew finally show up. They put down the clamps on the Brooklyn Nets, and they win them both at home. But then Kevin freaking Durant goes to Brooklyn and puts up a 50 bomb in game 5, puts up a triple-double, and makes absolutely dominant plays. Kevin Durant was looking like the greatest player in the world, and if you were going to tell them that he wasn't going to win an NBA championship this season, you would have been out of your freaking mind. Now keep in mind, this is Kevin Durant coming back from a catastrophic, potentially career-ending injury. In the 2019 NBA Finals, Kevin Durant was playing against the Toronto Raptors. He came back early from a calf strain injury, and he went out in the NBA Finals, and after just a few minutes of playing time, Kevin Durant tears his Achilles, which is the worst injury that you can get as a basketball player. After Kevin Durant suffers this injury, he eventually signs with the Brooklyn Nets on a 4-year contract, spends an entire season rehabbing that injury, and people are asking if he's even going to be the same. And little do they know that Kevin Durant is coming. His lengthiness on the defensive end, his overall versatility, Kevin Durant is an all-time player. It doesn't matter if he's playing against Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. The guy is an absolute beast. And the thing is that Kevin Durant went out and scored 50 points and had the Brooklyn Nets up 3-2, even with a debilitated James Harden and a debilitated Kyrie Irving. It didn't even matter. But then the unthinkable happened. The Milwaukee Bucks, they go home in game 6 and they finish the job. forcing a Game 7 in Brooklyn in the Barclays Center against Kevin Durant, James Harden, and the Brooklyn Nets. It is on. This game was going down to the wire, and the Brooklyn Nets looked like they had all control in the world. But the Milwaukee Bucks and their stout defense, their phenomenal play by Giannis, they were keeping in the game and they were not giving up. In fact, Giannis was going out there carrying this team, and he had the likes of Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton out there giving him some help. Finally, Giannis had some help and so then the situation comes. 6 seconds on the clock. Brooklyn has the ball. They're down by 2. Who do you think's getting the ball? I think it's Kevin freaking Durant. And they knew exactly who was getting the ball. Head coach Steve Nash wouldn't have drawn it up any other way. It was absolutely automatic. Fans back in the stands. Brooklyn, Game 7, first season for Kevin Durant. You knew what was about to go down. And so finally, the stars align. The play is drawn. Kevin Durant shoots it for 3, and he makes it with 1 second left on the clock. Except, wait, no! Kevin Durant only made it 2, and everyone thought he won. But no, Kevin Durant has his feet on the line. Just by centimeters, his feet are on the line. People talk about how football is a game of inches. Basketball was literally a game of toes. And this wasn't just deciding who was going to win this playoff series. This was probably deciding who was going to win the NBA championship. The stakes have never been higher, and all it took was Kevin Durant's toes. And that is what ultimately decided this series. Because once this game went into overtime, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo and crew decided that nope, this is the time that they're going to get past the Brooklyn Nets. But Kevin Durant gives it one more try. He throws up a prayer in the final seconds of overtime, and it is no good. And the Milwaukee Bucks move on to the Eastern Conference Finals, leaving Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets that shy, that close. And so at that point, the Milwaukee Bucks defeat the Brooklyn Nets at home, and they go on to win the NBA championship. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking any credit away from the Milwaukee Bucks. They absolutely went on to win. They beat the Atlanta Hawks, which wasn't as tough as the Brooklyn Nets, I would argue. And then they go on to face the Phoenix Suns, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Giannis Antetokounmpo puts on one of the greatest final performances of all time. And that is absolutely something that you cannot take away. But if Kevin Durant is behind the three-point line, that's game. That is game. And Kevin Durant goes on. You think Kevin Durant's beating the Atlanta Hawks? I think so. You think Kevin Durant is beating the Phoenix Suns? I know so. Because Kyrie Irving or James Harden would have 100% gotten back to a level of health that would have gotten him some help on the basketball court. And here's the thing. Going into this season, there is nobody that you consider to be a better favorite for the NBA championship than Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and that crew in Brooklyn. In that time in basketball, they almost got it done. But they were just a shoe away from winning an NBA championship. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that time in basketball. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If Kevin Durant's feet are behind those lines, do you think that the Brooklyn Nets are NBA champions? Or do you think that Phoenix brings it home? Do you think Atlanta could have had a chance? I don't. I'm going to just swap that down right now. If you think the Atlanta Hawks possibly were going to beat that Brooklyn Nets team, what is wrong with you? But that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any ideas of moments in basketball that you want to talk about, let me know in the comment section down below. Next week, I have a pretty good idea for you, so be sure to tune in for that. And of course, if you want more content, you like what you see, hit that notification bell, hit the like button, share with your friends. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean Half Court. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time from Half Court.